In this video, we're going to implement a sign out feature for our mobile application. And the user interface of our mobile application is very simple, and we don't really have left side navigation menu at this moment or any other navigation menu. Once user signs in, the only page we have is this main page. So it doesn't really matter at this stage where I can put the logout button. I will put it onto navigation bar at this moment. So I will open my right side panel, and under objects library I want to look for button. I already have it there, and I could put a button here, or I will choose a bar button item and I'll drag it and put it into my left side on the navigation bar here. Okay, and I will select the button item, and we'll change its title to something like sign out. Okay, now I will select the main page view controller and open it in Assistant Editor. Hide the right side panel. We'll scroll down, and somewhere here I will create an action for this button. So I'll select the button, control click, select the sign out button, control click, drag. Oh, it's not. Okay, so my view controller on the right side is not correct. If I look here, it says view controller, but I'm working with the main page, and I know that view controller responsible for this page is different. That's why it's not allowing me to create an action here. So I need to select proper. Normally Xcode automatically selects the proper view controller, but at this time it did not, so I can select it manually. So I'll go here, automatic, and select main page view controller, which is the view controller responsible for this interface design. Okay, so I'll delete this comment. Click on the sign out button again, hold control button, click, drag and drop. Okay, and this connection type will be action, and I will call it sign out button tapped. Okay, so when user taps on sign out button, there are a couple of things that we want to do. First, we want to remove the username from NS user defaults. So this is what I will do. NS user defaults, standard user defaults, remove object for key, and I think it's called username. Let me quickly double check that. So I'll go to app delegate, and I will look for, at the time when mobile application starts, we check for username, and if username is not nil, then we redirect user to a protected page. So remove this key, go back to main page view controller. Yes, username, that's correct. Okay, and because I did some changes to my NS user defaults, I will synchronize it. And another thing that I want to do is I want to sign out user from parse. So I will import parse, because when we signed in, we created parse user object, and we signed in using parse as SDK. So I will need to sign user out using parse SDK as well. So there is a special type object for users. It's called PF user, and there is a function called logout. So there are three actually available: logout, logout in background, and logout in background with block. Well, logout in background with block will have to it will send an instruction to parse, and then we will have to wait for this instruction. It will happen in background, but I don't really want to wait for anything. I just want to log out. So a logout in background will not block our main thread. It will just like logout in background with block, but still I don't want to do anything once user is signed out with parse. So I'll choose this one, logout in background. And the last thing that I want to do is I want to navigate to a sign-in page. So I will go back to, we do have this code somewhere, for example, in, yes, so I can reuse this code from app delegate. So in app delegate, I instantiate view controller, and then I replace Windows root controller with a new page. So in my app delegate, I will navigate to a sign-in page. Let's go to main storyboard and zoom out a little bit and check what is the identifier, what is the storyboard ID for sign-in page. I'll select view controller, open right side panel, go to identity inspector. Oh, there is no storyboard ID. It's called view controller. So I will create storyboard ID and copy it, and then go back to my main page view controller, and will provide the identifier here, view controller. So we are instantiating main storyboard, and then we are creating a new view controller with identifier view controller, downcasted as view controller, and I'll call it sign-in page. And then we wrap it into navigation controller. I'll call it sign-in page nav. And then we instantiate application delegate and replace Windows root view controller with the sign-in page. Okay, so again, we've removed the username from our NS user defaults. Now mobile app will forget the user and will not know that user is signed in. We send instructions to parse to log out user in background, and while it's all happening, we will navigate user to the main page. Again, we could have used logout in background, and then as soon as we received response from parse, we could navigate to a sign-in page. But I will use logout in background only. Okay, so let's run this example and test. So I will run it. Because NS user default has username, it should start with the sign-in, the protected page we logged in earlier. Yes, so we're starting with main page, and I'll put a breakpoint in app delegate. Are we in app delegate? Yes, we are in app delegate. Did finish launching with options. So I'll put a breakpoint here and start application again. The reason it starts with the main page or protected page right away is because we have a value in our user defaults. It's username, and then if value is not nil, we instantiate main page view controller. But if we remove this, our application, this code will be skipped, and initial view controller will be instantiated. And initial view controller is the one that has an arrow at the left. So I'll go back to main storyboard. This is the initial view controller on the sign-in page. Okay, so let's click on sign out page. Let's go back to main page view controller. When user taps on logout, this sign out button tap will be called. Let's put a breakpoint here, and I will run my example. Okay, so I tap on sign out. I come into sign out button tab, the username value will be removed, and then instructions will be sent to parse in background, and then I will navigate to sign in page. Okay, so now if I stop my mobile application and I run it again, it will no longer go to protected page, it should go straight to sign in page. Here we go, because the value of username is removed. Let's put a breakpoint here. I'm in the app delegate in the function did finish launching with options. I'll stop my application and run again. And what is the value of username? Nil. Okay, so let's log in. Sergey at Ruslandia 1 2 3 4 5 oops 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. Sign in. Okay, stop, run. It should be protected page now. Yeah, it's protected page. So every time I start my mobile application, I'm logged in user, it will always go to protected page. But now I want to sign out, and it goes to sign in. Okay, so very good. I think we are done with our sign out function. As a second thought, let's go back to main page view controller, and I'll show you how to implement logout in background with block. So PF user, logout in background with block, select, enter, and we have an error object. I'll give it a value of, I will call it error, and we have a body of our block. So when we send out instructions to parse, like logout in background with block, parse will try to log out user, and if something happens, if for some reason parse could not log out user, parse SDK could not log out user, an error object will be returned, and we can display a message to user like could not log you out at this time, please try later. But this is already a deeper level business logic of your mobile application. You might want to do that or not. So if you get an error, you can display an alert message, could not log you out. Would you still want to log out now, like force log out? And in that case, you can try to repeat it, but as a second round, you might not want to wait for parse to respond, but simply call user PF user, for example, logout in background, because a user decided to log out of your application, and if we prevent them and do not allow to log out, it's not very nice user behavior. Okay, so what I can do now, what I need to do now, I need to copy this code below, and I need to paste it into this block function, block body. Okay. So now I can run my example, and I'll put a breakpoint here so that I see that once I get a response from block, once I get a response from parse, I get into this block body, and my function is executed. So I will log in, and I will type my digits as a password, sign in. Okay, I'm on a site, and then I tap on sign out. Here we go, I'm on the block, and I run it, and I'm on sign in page again. So it works. Let's just do it again. My password, sign in, I'm there. Let's stop application, run it again, sign out. Oh, everything works. Okay, so now we are done with this video.